It's intriguing that just by acknowledging and naming specific traits that you see in other people, you can boost your tolerance, respect, and appreciation for how others are wired. At the very least, identifying your audience can help you cope with conflict that exists within certain relationships. For example, my own mother has yet to listen to any of my podcasts. She doesn't even ask me about them. To say this doesn't hurt would be a lie, but at least I am able to make sense of my mother's actions by linking the following word phrases to her behavior. First, my mother likes to be the teacher, and therefore she wants to be the one who brings knowledge to the discussion. Second, she is not necessarily a good listener and tends to dominate conversations. And third, since the topic of temperament does not interest her, she chooses not to participate. Being able to identify my audience, in this case, my mother, has led me to understand why she flees from engaging in a discussion about temperament. I cannot fault her for how she is naturally wired, nor should I take it personally. Unfortunately, I do, and can connect the reasons why to the way I am naturally wired. You see, I feel disappointed because I am easily offended, and I have a strong desire to confront my mother because I do not like unresolved conflict. Yet I have to remember that I cannot change my mother. I can only control the way I respond. Therefore, I have to make a conscious effort to manage my own thoughts and behavior if I want to maintain a viable relationship with my mother. Granted, our relationship would be a lot healthier if she were to manage her behavior to meet my needs. But such is life. This is a prime example of how the AIM model works that I briefly mentioned in my first podcast. A is for acknowledging who you really are. I is for identifying your audience. And M is for managing your thoughts and behaviors. Awareness and application of these three areas are what ultimately affect the health of your relationships and overall well-being. It's important to be able to name the way you are specifically and uniquely wired, as your actions and reactions can cause both positive and devastating effects. In general, people who are good listeners, observant, think deeply, analyze, and truly invest in getting to know others are more likely to be successful at identifying their audience. Due to their natural character traits, melancholy and phlegmatic blends are quite possibly better at this than the sanguine and choleric blends. For instance, a person whose attention span is based on whether or not the subject is interesting typically finds it boring to devote time to identifying another person's traits. It takes a lot of effort to get to know someone on a deep level, which isn't necessarily what some people want to be doing with their energy. Then there are those who have little to no desire to get to know someone on a personal level, especially when it comes to sharing emotions. However, if they feel they could win or take advantage of a situation, then they would be driven to discover and manipulate another person's strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, this doesn't exactly lead to a mutually beneficial relationship. For the most part, observing other people's words and actions will allow you to successfully navigate your relationships. In addition, identifying your innate needs along with the needs of others is vital to the health of your close relationships. In my next podcast titled, "What Do You Want From Me?" I'll dive deep into this fascinating subject, shedding light on exactly what causes us to be irritated and upset. Remember, the better you are at naming what drives your thoughts and behaviors, the better equipped you will be at identifying your audience and managing your responses and decisions. Thanks for listening to the conclusion of Identifying Your Audience. Please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay up to date on my latest podcasts.